First of all, it's an absolute honor to be back here in Korea again with so many old friends and new friends and colleagues alike. I would like to start by offering two assumptions to you. First, no major action should take place on the peninsula without the close cooperation and coordination of the South Korean people, and when possible, other regional players as well. And secondly, we cannot kick the nuclear Korea, the nuclear North Korea, or the one Korea down the road any further. We have got to solve these issues, and we've got to solve them now. The opportunity for a stable, prosperous, self-reliant, and unified Korea is within our grasp. So too is the probability or possibility of a nuclear weapon proliferation on a near global scale if the right decisions and right actions are not taken in the very near future. I offer for your consideration that the Korean Peninsula of 2017 is an opportunity. At this very time, we have an opportunity to decrease the suffering of more than 25 million North Koreans, an opportunity to reunite the Korean people, an opportunity for the entire peninsula to share the many blessings of a democracy, an opportunity to once and for all eliminate all nuclear weapons from the peninsula and serve as an example for the rest of the world, an opportunity for China and Russia to act as great powers, an opportunity for the United States to work closely with the regional powers and function in its capacity as a global power, and an opportunity for all North Koreans, and I do mean all North Koreans, to join the world of responsible nations. These aspirations, while lofty, are certainly achievable in the very near future. The alternatives of war on the Korean Peninsula, or even worse, a fully nuclear North Korea, are similarly and justifiably unacceptable. 35 miles to our north, from where we sit right here, lies the border to another existence. The people here in Seoul are prosperous, healthy, well-educated, and are free to choose who governs this republic. And yet 35 miles away, a nation exists with 1/40th of your annual family income, a population with deplorable living conditions, and a country run by a dictator who stops at nothing, including killing his own family, to remain in power. But it is important that the world take into account that while the Kim dynasty is brutal and threatens peace on the peninsula and beyond, many Koreans living in the north are merely subjects of a somewhat random line dividing this peninsula. I mentioned that our current situation not only offers opportunity for a more stable, prosperous, self-reliant, and unified Korea, but threatens the security, economy, and very way of life for this peninsula, the region, and indeed the entire world. It is true that even if we use the Herod-Dahmed growth model, the cost of reunification will be north of $1 trillion and could reach $2 or $3 trillion. But let's look at the threat of either doing nothing or executing combat operations on the peninsula for just a moment. The issue of a nuclear North Korea goes well beyond the Kim Jong-un regime. Consider this. If North Korea is allowed to continue its nuclear weapon program, the Japanese, the Taiwanese, and South Koreans will likely be forced to build advanced nuclear weapons programs of their own. For both Japan and South Korea, this nuclear program will provide a type of mutually assured destruction paradigm which should prevent even the most radical thinking dictators from using these weapons against other nuclear nations. But it doesn't stop there. If Japan becomes nuclear, China will undoubtedly feel a need to expand its weapons systems. In the meanwhile, Iran and other nations will watch as North Korea gets away with developing a nuclear program and threatening world peace, and you may well see a proliferation into the Gulf states and others as they build their own systems. So why does all this matter to the average global citizen, those beyond this peninsula and this region? Because we will lose control of the massive amounts of fissile material developed, and somewhere soon a nuclear device will change the world in ways more significantly than we ever saw on 9/11. Now let's touch upon the elephant in the room. China faces a complex scenario in their own backyard. They are concerned with a united Korea that would resemble the affluent and wildly successful democracy of South Korea, a close ally to the United States. If the unification occurs, there is no longer a geographic buffer between South Koreans and China. But if China does nothing, they are likely left with a nuclear North Korea, a nuclear Taiwan, a nuclear Japan, and South Korea, and possibly combat operations that could go nuclear on the peninsula. Now, China saw the impact on nations like Turkey when 4 million refugees flooded their nation of 80 million. A major war on the peninsula would be many times greater, and with the potential of nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons being used and drifting into the Chinese airspace. And even if none of those likely WMD after effects impact China, imagine the impact on their economy as shipping lanes were shut down and logistics grind to a near standstill in the region. China's tenuous civilian banking system may falter and impact the remainder of the economy in China, the region, and indeed the globe. So, with those positive thoughts in mind, these are dangerous times with real opportunities. The United States must lead. The Chinese must lead. The South Koreans must continue to be engaged in what happens on their peninsula. And North Korea must be presented options that could result in their survival without nuclear weapons. If these steps are taken, North Korea will eventually melt away and become united with a much more successful South Korea, and the world will be much better for it. Thank you very much.